Hey, what's up, guys? Back for the deck profile here. Now, I finally got DDDs for you guys. Obviously, this is like one of the hardest deck. I think, if not the hardest deck to play in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever, realistically. I don't think you ever really master the deck because there's so many different lines of play. Like, it's just kind of absurd. Like, it makes your brain hurt at first. Like, if you want to pick up DDDs and start playing with them, you have to kind of play through the pain. That's one thing I'll definitely suggest to players that want to learn the deck brand new. Take the L's, whatever. Deck's just fucking very hard to learn. Very high ceiling, though, for what it is. I'm going to go through card explanations, and I'll do a small combo video at the end of this. Also, leave me comments, deck profiles you want to see down in the comments, and also leave me questions. I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything video eventually soon, so I'll give you a shout out for your tag and all that. So, without further ado, guys, fucking DDDs. Look at that. Fucking Eulogy King Starlight Rare. Oh, Japanese. OCG has the coolest shit, dude, and we just don't get any of it, so that's kind of sick. This might be a little bit longer of a video because I'm going to go through card explanations and stuff. So, and I have a couple honorable mentions as well. So, let's get right on into it. So, all right, start with the best card in the deck. 3 Kepler. So, this card, Pen Scale, it's a Pen 10, Pen Scale 10. You can only pen summon DDDs. During your standby phase, it lowers its Pen Scale level by 2, so it goes from 10 to 8, and then 8 to 6, so on and so forth. And then destroys monsters with that level, it's on normal summon or special summon, it can add a Dark Contract from deck to hand, or target one of your DD cards and bounce them back to your hand. So this card's very good. You can bounce back like the Orthros. There's also another card that I play in here, and there's a couple things that I'm going to go over with this card as we go on. You can kind of basically search, like if this, well, I'll get into that in a minute. So obviously three Kepler, so, and then 3 Copernicus. This card's just absolutely ridiculous. So in scale, if you can only pen summon DDs, if a spell that it has effect damage would damage you, you can negate it and destroy this card. Also on normal or special summon, it's like Armageddon Knight, it sends a Dark Contract or DD from deck to graveyard. This card's insane. Level 4. I think this card's still like a $12 common or something like that because there's no other printings of it. And then Griffin, dude, one of the new cards. So this card does like 18,000 things. So in scale, target a fiend monster. It gains 500 attack for each Dark Contract you control, and then destroy it. And then whenever you control a DD, you can reveal special summon it from your hand. If it is pendulum summoned, you can discard a DD card or a Dark Contract, draw a card. And if it's special summoned from the graveyard, you can add 1 DD card or Dark Contract from deck to hand. This card does everything the deck needs it to do. It's just super ridiculous. So, obviously, we're playing 3 Swirl Slime. This card's just insane. You reveal it in hand to fuse with it and another DD monster. And then also, when it's in graveyard, you can banish it to special summon a DD from your hand. Card's just very insane. And then you go with that. The one Necro Slime, Starfoil. Oh, Starfoils. Fucking. So this card only has a graveyard effect. You can banish it it's like Miracle Fusion. It banishes itself and something else to fuse in grave. So this card's very insane. You only need to play one of it though, because you can send it like 12 different ways or something like that. So, and then 1 Lamia. Special summon this card from your hand to graveyard by sending a DD or Dark Contract you control, or from your hand. So level 1 tune, very good. The Vice Typhoon. So this card's very good. Its first effect's completely irrelevant. You can play no other level 7 DDs. But it's the same thing as Necro Slime, where in graveyard you can banish it and something else to summon a level 8 or higher DD monster, fusion summon from your extra deck. So. Also, like I said, it's level 7, so you can actually make what's his name, Siegfried with it, and the Lamia, etc. So. And then the Savant Thomas. This is actually one of my favorite cards in the deck. So, what this card does in Pen Scale, it can just add 1 DD from your extra deck to your hand. Very simple, very good effect. Also, if it's on board, you can destroy one of your Pen Scale, summon a level 8 DD from your deck. I think it's DDD. From your deck, negate its effects. Your opponent takes half damage that turn. But it summons out the Ragnarok, so you can make the Kali Yuga to just kind of blow out back row decks. This card's very clutch, very, very insane. So, and then the Ragnarok, just one Ragnarok. So this card's pen scale effect is if you special summon a DD, you can target and reborn one in your graveyard. Your opponent takes half damage that turn, and then you take 1,000 damage as well. So, also if it's normal or special summoned, you can reborn one from the graveyard. Also, you can tribute and target one of your one DD monster, target one of your opponent's monsters, and banish it. So. This is a lot of text. This deck, that's like the main key thing about this. It's just so much stuff to learn. Like, and if there's white noise, I'm sorry. It's raining outside, and I have the fan in the window for my cigarette smoke. And then we get into this stuff. So DD Cerberus. This card's actually very insane. In pen scale, it can target one of your DDs, make it level 4, and it gains 400 attack and defense. Also, if it's pendulum summoned while you have another DD on the field, you can add a continuous spell from your graveyard back to your hand. When I saw continuous spell on this card, immediately I thought Infernity Launcher, because I was just like, oh, dude, like, you know what I mean? Infernities, I fucking love that deck. But this card's very good. Obviously, it makes Kepler level 1, or level 4, I'm sorry, from level 1 to 4. So. And then the card that Europe doesn't have, which is kind of saddening. So the King Rage, this card. This card, whenever it declares an attack, if your opponent's life points are 4,000 or less, it gains the attack equal to your opponent's life points. You take no battle damage involving this card. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, it has 3 other effects. You tribute a monster, and then choose. You don't have to actually declare which effect you're using, but it can attack directly. It can. Your opponent can activate spell trap, or anything in their spell or trap card zone can't be activated. And also you can tribute, once again, to your opponent can't activate card effects in the hand or in the graveyard. So this card's just absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes you'll just banish Swirl Slime from your graveyard, slap this down on the board, tribute a monster, and attack for game. So I just think this card's very good. This card's very good also in the mirror match with the Piri Reese map, because it puts them to 4K automatically. So it's very good. So. And I'm actually only playing one Orthros, so this card's also very good. Targets one DD and one spell and trap card when it's in the pen zone, destroys both. And things that people know about this deck, like you can Kepler, bounce it back, etc. Like you can target, pop, and then Kepler, bounce it back to hand, play it again, pop. It's not a hard once per turn, it's just once per copy. Also, it is a level 4 tuner. Outside of Lamia, it's the only tuner in the deck. Also, if you take effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only special summon Fiends for the rest of the turn, so that's completely fine. And then, I had to put some crazy stuff in here instead of play like cookie cutter DDs. The way the deck's been evolving is just very, very good. It's just very kind of, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but it kind of is. Like the lists all look kind of the same, except for a couple things here and there. And I'm actually playing one DD Dog. So I think this card's very good. I was playing 2 Orthros, and I cut the second Orthros for Dog. So what this card does, one thing I want to note is it's a level 6 Fiend. So you can overlay with it and Genghis into the High Wave King, which is important because it only uses 2 level 6 Fiends. In scale effect, it's kind of like an Imperm. Like when you scale it, you can target an Exceed, Synchro, or Fusion monster, negate its effects, destroy it. Or if it's in the monster zone, and your opponent special summons a Synchro, Exceed, or Fusion monster, you can target that, negate its effects, and it can't attack that turn. So, but once again, like I say, level 6, very good. So, and then for my quote-unquote hand traps, I'm only playing 3 Nib, 3 Droll, and I actually went with 3 Dark Ruler. I think 3 Dark Ruler is very good. I see like the people playing like triple Veiler, triple Ghost Ogre, triple all this stuff. Like, Lancia and DD Crow are ones that I considered outside of Dark Ruler. I'm just a huge fan of cards that cover the entire turn. Crow mainly for Scythe and things like that. I just think Crow's very good, but Dark Ruler, just in testing, it just performed better. Obviously, Nib and Droll are just absolutely ridiculous. So. And then one Dark Contract with a patent license. So this card, when your opponent special, it's a field spell, which is, I'm super glad they made this a field spell instead of a continuous spell. But it's a field spell, so when you play it and you pass your turn, your opponent can only special summon a card type once of a card type you have. So if you, it's only it's not Pendulum, it's everything else. It's Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, and Link. They can only special summon it once, and they take 1,000 damage, and then they can't special summon that for the rest of the turn. This card just kind of auto beats Brain Kids in my testing so far, like, because you know you can make the Meow Meow Mew, and then they just can't really do anything else outside of that. But also, when this card's sent to graveyard, you can add one DD from your graveyard or face it from your Pendulum pen from your extra deck to your hand. So, the card's very good. I almost want to side it, but it's also like a second line of interruption, even if they have Droll or if they have Droplets or Dark Rule or something like that. So, because they can only go so far with it. And then one contract with the Swamp King. Card's ridiculous. Card's kind of like Invocation. If you fuse a Fiend monster, you can use from board or hand. But if you fuse a DD monster, you can use your graveyard as well. And if you use graveyard, it banishes. Also, during the standby phase, you take 1,000. That doesn't fucking matter, but because usually you'll have King Rage in the pen scale. Oh, I forgot to mention King Rage. Also, his pen scale effect is. If you take effect damage, you take no damage, and also if you have a level 5 or higher DDD monster, you want to normal summon it, you can do it without attributing. I forgot to mention that part, I'm sorry. There's just so many things, so just bear with me, you know what I mean? So, but Contract with the Swamp King is just very insane. So, last one of is the 1-for-1. This card is, I mean, that with a discard is just basically any end board in this deck you want. This deck's super cool, like how it's like a Swiss Army knife kind of deal, where like you can deal with any matchup if you know how to play the deck, because of, you know, just certain things like the field spell, patent license, and such. So, and then I'm obviously playing 3 Piri Reese map. This card you can only activate it during your main phase, just like fucking Extrab or something. Adds a monster from your deck to your hand with 0 attack. You can't use its effects until it's normal summoned. The one thing I want to note about this, people forget, so you can add Kepler, Copernicus, and you can actually add King Rage, which is very nice. So, card's insane. And obviously the fucking Dark Contract. This just the funny thing about this is people forget that it's like 10 key, but it's not like 10 key, because once you leave it up, if you go into the turn 3 and you went first, you can search with it again, and then during your standby phase you take 1,000. Whatever. So. And then the last card is the DDD Headhunt. This card's absolutely ridiculous. If you control a DDD monster, you can take one of their monsters. It's like Crackdown. And if their monster was summoned from the extra deck, it turns into a DDD monster, so you can actually overlay the Machine X on top of it, which is just very nuts. So this is a clean 40 card list. Just want to point that out. So, all right, and then for the extra deck. So I chose to play 3 Gilgamesh. I think 3 Gilgamesh is completely where you want to be at with the deck, because I'm not playing like anything other than DDDs or Fiends. Well, I am playing one other card, but this card is on Special Summon. It's not on Link Summon. It places 2 DDs in your scales with different names. Then you take 1,000 damage. Also, if this card's face up is destroyed, you can Special Summon a DD from your extra deck or graveyard, and so you can just special summon like Siegfried, any of that stuff. So the card's just absolutely nuts. So. And then the still 2 King Genghis. So this card, whenever you not normal summon, whenever you special summon a DD monster, you can reborn one from graveyard. And if it's destroyed by battle card effect, you can add one of your Dark Contracts. Card's just very insane. You play 2 of it, so you can make the High Wave King. And then this card, I actually have only summoned this card a few times. I think this is like the flex spot. Its effect is just whenever you take effect damage, you gain the damage instead. So it's good in time. Like, it's definitely worth playing. And then the High King Genghis. So this is the only card that Vice Typhoon can fusion summon for. Needs level 5 or higher DDD and a DD monster. Whenever you normal or special summon a DD. So it's not like King Genghis, it's High King. So you use normal or special summon. That one's only special summon. You can reborn one from graveyard. Also, during your turn only during your turn, can they get a spell or trap? Because they didn't want to give this deck another effect negate or a spell or trap negate outside of Siegfried. So shout out to Siegfried. Siegfried, level 8 synchro. Usually make it with Lamia, or you can make it with Orthros and Griffin, or Orthros and another level 4, whatever you want to do. So, this card, so it just negates. It's kind of like Hot Red. It doesn't have to chain directly to the activated card, so you can actually negate droplets with this if they do it in the wrong chain, or Dark Ruler, or if they use droplets in the wrong way. But also, when this card dies, you gain 1,000 for each Dark Contract you control, which is very nice. And then DDD Wave King. This is my favorite card in the extra deck. So it's just 2 level 4 fiends. This card has a very cool effect. It's kind of like that the trap card for Burning Abyss, like during whatever dies this turn comes back. So during their player's turn, you can detach one from it, and then at the end of the battle phase, it special summons as many monsters that were destroyed during the battle phase of that turn, and then next standby you take 1,000 for each, which doesn't really matter. Because a lot of the times you'll have King Rage in the pen spot, so you won't take any damage. But also, whenever this card leaves the field hard once per turn, you can add a Dark Contract from deck to hand. So it's very good. And then the Marksman Kingtail. So this card, it's kind of like Gaia Charger. You just overlay. You can look down here, babe. You can just overlay it on top of a DD rank 4. Its effect is if you took damage this turn, which you always take, that hot 1,000 from Gilgamesh. You detach one from it, target a monster on the field. Sometimes if you're going first, it's always usually himself. Detach, target a monster, it loses 1,000 attack, and your opponent takes the damage that you took as well. Also, when it's sent from field to graveyard, you can Foolish Burial, a DD or Dark Contract from deck to graveyard. Now, his effect to Foolish is not hard once per turn. You can do it as many times as you can. So, my boy, dude, the Wave High King. So, this card, just like I said, 2 level 6 fiends. That's why I'm playing DDD Dog, because I kind of wanted to respect the card a little bit more, since this is like one of my favorite cards in the extra deck. Because you don't actually have to fuse summon 2 Gengises. You can just pen summon the DD Dog. After you use it as if you lose the die roll, you can pen scale it, pop, negate fusion, synchro, or exceed monster's effect. Then pen summon it back, leave it up, or you can overlay it on top of the Genghis for this. But this card's effect is whenever a spell trap or monster effect activates that special summons a monster, you can detach one from it, negate it, and destroy it. So it's an anti-Nibiru. There is a combo that if you open Swirl Slime, Necro Slime, you can, and Kepler, you can actually go through your whole combo without even getting Nibiru, because he's your 5th summon. Also, he adds back 1 contract when he dies. So this card's just... Oh, also, when you negate and destroy something that his effect, like spell trap, monster effect, detach, negate, destroy, that would summon a monster, he gains 1,800 attack, and one other DD you control gains 1,800 attack. This is kind of how you kill your Nibiru token if the Nibiru token is too big. You can actually proc this on your own turn to kill a Nibiru token. You can play a card because it negates either player's card that negates it. So, you can play something that summons a monster, and then you can detach, negate it. This gains 1,800, that gains 1,800, etc. So you can kind of kill the Nibiru token for the follow-up. And I am playing the Kali Yuga. I think this card's just way too good not to play, because there's 2 flex spots. It's this, the Arc, the Fusion level 7. I think those are your 2 flex spots in the extra deck. So this card, obviously everyone knows this card. I'm not really going to go into explanations about this card, but obviously the one thing that's very cool about this when playing it in DDDs is you can detach from it to set a Dark Contract back to your board. So if you wipe all your Dark Contracts, you can set it to set back the 10-key one, and it's very good. And then the fucking old boy, dude, the Machine X. Alright, so 2 Machine X. I almost want to play 3 of these in the Arc spot. Level 7 fusion spot. But so this card, you can overlay this card kind of like Dingirsu on top of a DDD monster. But the thing about this card is it's not like Dingirsu. It's not once per turn. It's just whenever you can do it. You can only control 1 of this card though. And during your standby phase, you can put it in your pen scale. I don't think that's ever come up since I've been playing the deck. I've been playing the deck for 4 weeks, almost a month, maybe a little bit more than a month. So what this card does is, if you put it in your pen scale, you can target a pendulum monster in your field or in your graveyard, and special summon the other card in your pen scale, and then the one you targeted goes in your pen scale. That just never comes up. But its main effect is just very ridiculous. Is whenever a monster your opponent controls, which has to be on the board, activates its effect, you can either detach 2 from this card or destroy a Dark Contract and attach that monster to this monster. So it doesn't negate the effect, but it does attach it. So in the combo, I'll show you just the 1-card combo to do this. And then the last card is the Zeus. The Zeus is just very insane. Like even going second half the time, you don't even have to Gilgamesh. You can just kind of play all the fusion cards, make the Machine X, and then make the Zeus, and it's just very good. So, and I will have some honorable mentions right after the combo. And all right, so combo is just my boy. So I'm gonna do this. All right. Going first combo, you can see this down here, babe.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so just Kepler. You're just gonna normal summon Kepler effect to add Dark Contract with the gate. Okay. Activate Dark Contract with the gate. Like I said, 10 keys. So you search Griffin. Search your boy Griffin. Okay. Search Griffin. You reveal Griffin in hand since you control a DD special summon it. Okay. And I'm gonna put my extra deck down here, so you can see my extra deck over here, babe.
Yeah.
Alright, so link those 2 off for Gilgamesh. Okay. Gilgamesh effect will place 2 in your pen scale. Put this down here. Okay. 2 in your pen scale. Sad face, Europe doesn't have this card yet. I'm sure they'll get it though. So you want to scale the King Rage and the Cerberus. This is where Cerberus is kind of important, is for the 1-card combo. So, okay, so you're here. You're going to pen summon, since King Rage is a scale 0, scale 6. Pen summon Griffin and Kepler. So if you had another DD or Dark Contract in hand, you could discard it to draw a card here, but we're not going to use that. We're just going to use effect, target this, to make it a level 4, target the Kepler. Okay. Kepler will overlay. I'm sure you guys have seen combos like this all over the place. I'm going to go with this one instead of the King Tell one, because I like this one more, in my opinion. So we're going to link off the Gilgamesh and the King you see down here, babe.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Graveyard. You're going to make another Gilgamesh. Okay. Oh, and obviously the first time I did Gilgamesh, you'll take 1,000, which is whatever. And then you're going to heist. You're going to wave King effect to add a Dark Contract. You're going to add the Swamp King. Okay. Now you're going to play the Swamp King, and you're going to fusion. I usually banish the Kepler and the Gilgamesh just because Dark, Called by the Grave is just kind of a problem sometimes if they're going first or whatever, or for the follow-up. So you can fuse, and you will fuse the Genghis. You see over here, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. All right, now you're going to overlay this, just like Ding Galatea, which is kind of cool, which will trigger the Genghis to special summon back the Griffin. Griffin's effect will activate to add a DD to Dark Contract. So you're just going to add Headhunt. Okay. Now here, once I said you still have 4 other cards in hand, so there's so many other things you could do. This is Graveyard. This is Banished. But normally you would just set the Headhunt if this was just a 1-card play. But the 1 card gets you all of this. And then once they start playing, if it's something threatening, you can take it with the Headhunt, right? And then also they use another monster effect. You can pop Swamp King, and when you pop the Swamp King, it'll attach the monster, so I'm going to use the Swamp King as the attach. So you'll attach, then they activate another monster effect. You'll pop the Contract, and I'm going to use the Contract as their monster to attach. So you'd have 3, so that's 2 suck-ups so far from their board. Then they use another monster effect. You would detach 2 to suck that monster up. Okay? And then they use another monster effect, and you can attach 2 and suck that monster up. So with just Kepler, you have that many interruptions with Machine X, which is just nuts. I'm super huge fan of this deck. I think if you actually put in the time to learn it, it's definitely something that you could do really well with. Because in my testing these last couple weeks, I've noticed that people still don't know like the choke points or which cards to like stop or whatever. Because like a lot of the time, I feel like with the deck, you just, if your hand's really good, like Squirrel, Slime, whatever, it doesn't even matter what they have half the time, which is kind of wild. So, and I want to have a couple honorable mentions too. So these 2 dark contracts, like I said, this deck's like a Swiss Army knife. This one's insane. This one just negates all trap cards. But these 2 are very important. I think also one thing that's very cool about this deck, I know this deck's kind of pricey right now, but everyone's already had the deck, knows how good it is. And it kind of it shifts to any meta, right? Because it's like a Swiss Army knife. So any of their cards you can just put in the main deck and it'll search, deal with it. Also, I feel like this is one of the decks Konami will never hit because it takes such a long time to learn it. It's not like a super autopilot deck where like you can just pick it up and be like, oh, I just play. You know what I mean? Like outside of the one Kepler combo, like not a lot of people know what to do with the deck. So, and then like there's just all kinds of stuff. Like like even the Satellite Warrior and stuff like that. That doesn't even matter. I'm still a huge fan of this card right now and this one, but like I said, in the certain meta, it'll be very good. And then like there's so many other cards in here like Where Art Thou, to search a crow, Droll, any of that stuff. Allure if you want to play it, Reborn, more Ragnaroks. It's just, this is like all my extra random. This card's actually very good. It'll probably see play eventually. This card would be very good if the meta was a little bit different and slower, but same with this card. And everyone remembers this card when Electromite, with the fucking burn stuff. So also Jack in the Hand is another card that I thought was just very good. But Desires, I'll never play it. This card's very niche, but it's worth noting. DD Ghost, more Vice Typhoon, stuff like that. So Baphomets, whatever. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. Remember to leave me comments down below what decks you want to see, and also leave me questions, whatever. And when I do that Ask Me Anything video, I'll put whoever asked the question and answer the question. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Cheers.